What up, though? What up, though? Just win, baby, Detroit. Coming to y'all with a good, I won't call it instant reaction because it's the morning after. So just giving y'all my quick views and reviews. I'm gonna link up with JH tomorrow so we can do a little bit more in-depth analysis, get his point of views and everything on the game. But to start off, man, y'all know what happened, man. Lions won again. I don't think the game was ever in doubt. I feel like my wish was to go ahead and have a stress-free football weekend after how the season has started, and they fulfilled that. Uh, week one, there was so many questions going into that game of what the team will be or how the interior of the offensive line will function, and they dropped the ball on that shit completely. Completely failed. It was a miserable day watching football, and for Michigan fans, it was a miserable day of football. Period. So I think Oklahoma got off in U of M. So we follow that up. You go into the next game with the Bears. You expect to be able to beat the Bears, and you absolutely cannot drop it against Ben Johnson coming back home immediately after leaving. But you just don't know if everything that was an issue in week one gets corrected. Uh, they showed us that they did get it corrected, and they blow out the Chicago Bears in impressive fashion. And then week three, big question marks going into that game. I mean, maybe not necessarily question marks, but a lot of people sitting on the fence as to if we will win or if we won't against the Baltimore Ravens. Tough AFC opponent, and the last time we played them, they beat the brakes off of us. So that was not a stress-free weekend. It wasn't until the fourth quarter where we really got active and we put some distance in there that people really felt like, all right, we got this game in hand. So this was the first weekend that I felt like I shouldn't have to stress about a game. I know we was going up against a tough defense, but yeah, because their offense is so inept, we should have plenty of opportunities, and the game shouldn't be close. I honestly think they scored more points than any of us. We go back to our live stream on Friday. You know, I don't know if anyone was necessarily calling for a shutout, but it was on the table as a possibility. But they immediately got that out the way by scoring on their first drive. But, you know, that makes 4 straight games that the Lions have given up a touchdown, not just any score, but a touchdown on the opening drive. So, you know, maybe that's a little concerning, especially for that particular offense to also do it with the way they've struggled. I know it's scripted plays. Those are usually the times your offense is most on time, in tune, and functioning properly is when you have scripted plays to run. So, you know, maybe that's something to keep our eye on moving forward. Giving up opening drive touchdowns really can't happen. I don't believe. Really got to put a stop to that. But let me get into some of the things I want to talk about for this game. Offense didn't have their best game, but did enough to win. We eventually, Jared Goff was what? Let me get the numbers correct. 16 of 27 for $168, 2 touchdowns and a pick. I think that's his first game in quite a while where he did not throw for 200 yards. Wasn't his best day. He was off the mark a lot. You even heard him in the press conference talking about it. Even some of the audibles that he made or some of the throws that he made, it just wasn't in tune. It was nice to have a game like that at home against an inferior opponent to where it didn't necessarily hurt us that much. But we can't have that against tougher opponents. Now, our immediate slate next week is the Bengals. So, you know, we can make some mistakes against them as well. But it wouldn't be a good sign for the offense if we play the same way as we did yesterday. But the Bengals do not have the same kind of defense as the Cleveland Browns. You have to give the Browns defense their credit. We knew it was a tough defense coming in. They lived up to their billing. I know the score is 34-10, 7 points coming from special teams, but a lot of what our offense was able to accomplish was because the defense and special teams put us in a good position to score. We didn't have our best day on offense at all. So, but they did enough to win, put up the points that was there for them to put up. Left a lot out there on the field, but there was no point in this game where you felt like we were going to lose. So, and then we eventually was able to stretch out on them, especially after the Khalif Raymond punt return. Shout outs to him. I think it's his third career punt return, but he finally got one this year. On to the next. We had a topic or a question that we copied from one of the Cleveland Browns podcasts, and they were saying, which is more likely that the Browns hold another opponent under 100 yards or the Lions rush for over 140. Now, I think our total rushing yards for the day was 109. So if we have to go who actually won, I would probably lean more towards the Browns, but they was holding teams to like 60 yards rushing, 50 yards rushing. So in that regard, we actually eclipse 100, so it's a win. Anytime your team goes over 100 rushing yards, it's a solid day. Your yards per carry might not be that impressive, but going over 100 yards is a solid day on the ground. It's complimentary football, especially when you pair that with we only had 168 passing yards from Jared Goff. Jahmyr Gibbs with 91. Yep, 15 carries for 91 yards, 6.1 average, but it was a tough day on the ground for David Montgomery, 9 carries for 12 yards with a 1.3 average. So to me, I feel like he kind of balanced out for last week. He went a little crazy last week, so just split his yardage between the Baltimore game and the Cleveland game in half, and that's a good solid average for the past 2 weeks. But I feel like they just when he got in the game, Cleveland just kind of really keyed in on him, crashed down, and they didn't give him much room to operate at all. They was doing a very, very good job of bottling up the run game for the most part. But we are the type of team that's going to keep at it, because you're going to have your wins as a defense, but we're eventually going to have ours. And when Jahmyr Gibbs got his, cracked it open, got some nice big runs in there, so that made the average look pretty good. But we kind of expected that. The coordinators kind of went back and forth this week. Actually, I won't say Jim Schwartz technically went back and forth. They talk, but I think Johnny Moe gets the victory for saying they haven't seen a run game quite like ours, and the proof is in the pudding. They hadn't. We rushed for the most yards against them so far this year, and that's that. On to the next topic. Defense won this game for us hands down. I don't really think that was ever a question. I honestly think the game plan going into this game was that the defense was going to win this game. Listening to the post-game comments from Dan Campbell, is that they expected to get a couple turnovers. And they expected to stall that offense multiple times throughout the game, get some good punts. And they expected defense and special teams to be the real catalyst to this win. We knew the toughest matchup was going to be our offense versus their defense. And I got to give our offensive line credit. It was tough sledding in the run game, and Myles Garrett got off some. He got off some, but we gave up 0 sacks. But defensively, 3 total turnovers. You had 2 interceptions. I think 1 interception to Kirby Joseph looked like Joe Flacco was trying to throw the ball away. That's my assumption, and just didn't quite get it there. Kind of like with the Caleb Williams pick in week 2. So Kirby Joseph just has balls falling out the air as gifts for him early on in the season. I think, what's it, Derek Barnes potentially had an interception that he dropped. Yeah, I think that's what was the case, but you probably got to have that. The other one was a hell of a play by DJ Reed. Receiver falls down. He dives over the receiver, catches the ball, secures it, even though it touches the ground. It doesn't move. Gets up, returns it down to the 5. Hell of a play by him. And then, of course, the other turnover, the last final turnover, was the strip sack by Aiden Hutchinson. He got around the corner. He was there so early. Flacco wasn't even in his throwing motion. He just smacked the ball out his hand onto the ground. Trevor Nowatzki recovers, and defense put us back in a scoring position. I guess I'm gonna start with Aiden Hutchinson. Hell of a game from him. It was a couple times in this game that he beat the offensive tackle so bad that he thought there was a screen coming behind him, and it wasn't. He was just getting off the ball that damn fast and beating the tackle that bad that he stopped himself from getting sacks. He could have had about 4 or 5 sacks this game, but he beat them so bad. He's like, oh no, this is a trap. There's a screen coming behind me. There's another play behind me, and it wasn't. So maybe that's an effective game plan for defenses against Aiden Hutchinson moving forward. Like, just let him go, and he'll stop himself from hitting the quarterback because he thinks someone's sneaking out behind him. But yeah, hell of a game from him. 2 sacks, forced fumble, couple TFLs, and then, as I said, he was beating the tackles all game long. And of course, these are their backup tackles. We're not going to act like they're NFL starters per se. But yeah, it's great to see him back in form. He made all of Detroit hold their breath when he was laying down there on the ground like that. But for me, he wasn't holding his leg at all. Like, it wasn't a knee, wasn't an ankle. So I just kind of assumed it was a stinger, and it ended up being he got the wind knocked out of him when he got chipped, and he just needed a little second down there to catch his breath. But that's his injury news. We have some more concerning injury news as it pertains to DJ Reed, and less concerning for Terrion Arnold. DJ Reed looks like a very severe hamstring injury. I'm hoping it's just a bad pull. I think they would have told us or hinted to it being more significant than that if it was a tear. Like, he's still undergoing tests, so I feel like you kind of know if somebody tear their hamstring almost immediately, especially if it pulls off the bone type of stuff. So hopefully he's good there. Certainly looks like he's going to miss a couple weeks, but I think we can maintain until then. But Terrion Arnold does have to return. He might be able to miss this upcoming week against the Bengals with his shoulder injury, but it's only because their offensive line is that bad, and I don't really care about the quarterback. The receiver core is very good, but offensive line is anything. So I think our defense will be able to get off, and whoever's in, you can play a safer game with the safeties over the top and just let the front four do their thing. Protect those corners this upcoming week. Brian Branch had an interesting game. They started calling the game tight also. So there was a bogus holding call on Terrion Arnold, and I know a lot of people are a couple weeks in a row that y'all been bashing Terrion Arnold. I thought he played just fine again. Y'all can call me delusional if you want to, but I didn't think he had a bad game at all. Like, that team scored 10 points. Like, I really don't be knowing what y'all want to see. In a game like that, the defense did what they were supposed to, and the refs were calling a tight game. Sometimes it take a drive or two for you to see how the game is going to be called to know how you have to play that game. They was calling some BS in that game. The false start on Christian Mahogany, where he points at the defense, I thought was a garbage call. But hey, here's what it is. Got the dub, won a turnover battle, won a rushing battle. I think Joe Flacco ended up out passing Jared Goff, but Here's what it is. I saw an interesting stat yesterday that said 9 out of the last 10 or something like that overall games, we have scored over 30 points. So the only game we didn't score 30 points was that week 1 against Green Bay. When our offense, even on a bad day, our offense can put up 30 points. Week 1 notwithstanding. We don't know what the hell that is. Like, take that week 1 tape, throw it out the window, get it out our mind. I'm gonna stop mentioning it, and I want national media to stop mentioning it, because even when I was watching videos today, this morning, it was like, everyone thought the Lions offense or the Lions team was going to regress a lot after that week 1 slacking from the Green Bay Packers. They thought they couldn't move the ball anymore without Ben Johnson, et cetera, et cetera. But lo and behold, last 3 weeks, this offense has been clicking, and it has. Scored the most points through 4 games since the 2012 team, I think. And it's the second most, I think 137 points versus 140. So right now, this is a very high-powered offense, and I still think there's a lot left in the tank for the offense. Like I said, it wasn't a very good game from Jared Goff. J-Mo had 1 drop. I don't count that first one where he was looking over his right shoulder and had to turn to the left, relocate the ball. That's not a drop to me. Anyone that's played the game, you know how hard it is to be tracking the ball, lose sight of it, got to reacquire it and track it again. Like, that's tough, especially when it happened at the last minute. Now, if it's still in the air and you do that, you got plenty of time. But it was right at the catch point that he had to change which shoulder he was catching over. Lost sight of the ball for a little bit, dropped it. He led the team in targets yesterday, which is a surprise. It's not something I advocate for, that he leads the team in targets, but I do like seeing when they go to J-Mo a high volume amount of times, because if they go into J-Mo that amount, it opens up everything for everyone else, because defenses fear him going deep, and he beat them a couple times. We just couldn't get the ball quite there. So, maybe next week those plays be there. Jared Goff, I have better protection, because he was under a lot of pressure. So we'll see how all of that goes. But the headline down there is that the defense won this game, and they did. Quinshon Judkins had a decent time running the ball, which surprised me to some degree. I'm not accustomed to running backs ever really getting off on this defense, and I'm not sure what really happened in this one. We have to go back to the tape, but I just think he ran hard, has a couple good runs, and they just got off a little bit. Fannin Jr., the rookie tight end of theirs, I thought he had a very good game. I know most of the attention goes to David Njoku as their tight end, but I thought Fannin was way more effective. He ran harder. He was hard to get down. He had 1 drop, but I thought he had a very, very impressive game. That was my first time really seeing him and becoming aware of him. But yeah, I took notice, and he played well. Anybody else from that offense that was a standout? Yeah, not that I can think of. So that's all I got for the Lions game. If you was just here for the Lions content, you probably go ahead and click off. Doesn't really matter. I'm gonna go over some of these other Week 4 scores just to talk about some of the results. Man up, see where I was on the money, off the money, on my picks, because it was tough sledding for some. But yeah, I ain't have a good betting week. I'll say that much. But that's the way it goes. First and foremost, starting off with that Vikings-Steelers game, I did not expect the Steelers to look the way they did against the Vikings. The Vikings didn't look good at all over there in Dublin. The final score is close, 21-24, but the game didn't feel that close at all. It felt like the Steelers was beating their ass from early in the game. You start with that 80-yard score by DK Metcalf, and the Steelers was just getting active on them. So got that one wrong. Right now, the Steelers are ahead in the AFC North. The Vikings, I don't know what they're going to do because Carson Wentz had a good game last week, not so good this week. So I think people are hoping for J.J. McCarthy to come back and play better than he did against Atlanta because that was terrible. Commanders, Falcons, I got this one wrong as well. I went with the Commanders. Marcus Mariota was playing again. I thought we was going to get Jaden Daniels, but I felt like even without that, I thought the Commanders had it. But no, the Falcons wanted to bounce back after getting beat so bad by the Panthers, getting blanked 30-0. Michael Penix had a bounce back game. What was his stats? 20 of 26, 313 yards, 2 tuds, and 1 interception. Marcus Mariota had a Jared Goff type of game, 16 of 27, 156 yards, 2 tuds, and 1 pick. So Bijan Robinson got off 17 carries for 75 yards and a tud. So I mean, not to get too deep into that, Falcons bounce back. You know, sometimes it's hard early in the season to really tell what teams are. I thought the Falcons was decent up until that Panthers game, and now I think they're decent again. I really don't know what to make of them. So it's going to be a week-to-week thing for the next couple of weeks until we really know how consistent Michael Penix can be and what that team actually is. The surprise of the week for me was the Giants beating the Chargers 21-18. I did not have that on the bingo card. I thought with Jackson Dart getting his first start that this was probably going to be a blowout, but I feel like they controlled that game for most of it. And Justin Herbert didn't have a very good game at all. He was 23 of 41 for 203 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Now, Jackson Dart was only 13 of 20 for 111 yards and a touchdown, but I just feel like that team controlled the game. So, I mean, I haven't seen the highlights to that game. I just saw a little bit of clips. I'm really just going over this to really talk about my bets and things of that nature, where I was right, where I was wrong, etc. Maybe I'll start doing some actual game reviews for all the games like we used to, or maybe even some highlight reactions. We'll see. That seemed to be one of the quickest ways to build your channel, but you know, I'll never get on here and pretend like I didn't watch a Lions game. Like, you forget about it. Like, it won't be a live reaction. It's more of a review reaction for a Lions game. I'm watching every last one of those in real time every week. Texans blanked the Titans 26-0, and you had Cam Ward in the post-game conference saying, let's just keep it a buck. We are ass. Sounds like it. So, yeah, I expected the Texans to win, but I thought it would be closer than this, honestly, because the Texans' offensive line hadn't protected very well for C.J. Stroud. But it looked like they finally had a bounce-back game. C.J. Stroud was 22 of 28, 233 yards for 2 tuds, but Cam Ward was 10 of 26, 108 yards, and just a pick. He is still a rookie. Sometimes you're going to have games like that, especially against that Houston Texans defense. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. Eagles squeak one out against the Buccaneers. Honestly, they won the game, but bro, Jalen Hurts completed 0 passes for 0 yards and no touchdowns in the second half. I have no real idea how the hell they even won this game. He had a rookie like stat line, 15 of 24 for 130 yards, but 2 touchdowns, as opposed to Baker Mayfield, 22 of 40 for 289, 2 tuds, and 1 pick. So I'm not quite sure what happened there either. I have to get into that game as well. I thought the Buccaneers was going to steal that one. I really did. And nope, The Eagles just kept chugging along with these unimpressive victories. and for them, it's like, what does it matter what it looked like as long as we get the dub? And to some degree, that is true. But I would hate to be a fan of a team like that where every week is a heart attack. Yeah, no thank you. Patriots beat the brakes off the Panthers 42-13. Panthers come back down to earth a little bit. It's not like the Patriots are world beaters at all, but they had the Panther numbers that day, destroyed them. See what some of these stats look like. Bryce Young, 18 of 30, 150 yards, 1 tud. Drake May, 14 of 17. That is a very efficient passing game. 203 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Stephon Diggs had 6 of those catches for 101 yards. Outside of that, not that much offensively, anyway, to look at. New England Patriots had a 21-point second quarter. Is the back. What is my... All right. Bills versus Saints. Bills get the win, but they did not cover their spread. Honestly, my homeboy Schemberger, he has a rule that anytime you see a spread that big, you fade it. I think I said that as well. Most of the time, it doesn't get covered. To ask a team to beat someone by more than 2 scores as the starting line is a little bit much because you never know what happens in the game. They can sit their starters out and then they close the distance right there at the end. So a lot of people fade that. They won the game by 12. So close, but not close enough. I really have nothing else to say in regards to that. It's still a blowout win to some degree. Maybe you don't call 12 points a blowout, but I don't think the game was ever really close. So maybe the score doesn't properly reflect that part. But the Saints are proven to be one of the worst teams in the league. So I did not expect them to beat the Buffalo Bills. We can skip right on over the Browns Lions. Lions cover their spread. Lions always cover their spread. It don't matter how big it is. If we play a bad opponent, we're going to beat the brakes off of them every time. Jaguars with the upset, so to speak, of the 49ers. Now, my first instinct was to take the Jaguars, but then I started listening to other stuff, and it's like, Trevor Lawrence had a rough last couple of games, and it's like, usually when a quarterback is in a slump like that, you're not going to get out of that slump going against the 49ers defense. But he managed to have a decent game. There was no Nick Bosa yesterday. He is out for the season with his injury. So you had Trevor Lawrence, 21-31, 174 yards and 1 tud. Brock Purdy was back, 22 of 38, 309 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions. Travis Etienne had a hell of a day, 19 carries, 124 yards, 1 touchdown. San Fran. I don't know what the hell y'all doing, but that's not the run defense we used to from y'all. Brian Thomas Jr., 5 catches for 49 yards. Leading rusher for San Fran was, of course, C-Mac, Christian McCaffrey, for 17 carries for 49 yards. And he was also the leading receiver with 6 catches for 92 yards and a touchdown. It's nice to have I can do it all running back, but you would think Pearsall would be the leading receiver. Not the case. But moving on from there, I expected more from the 49ers, but congrats to the Jaguars. I think that's their first victory of the year. No, they're 3-1. Oh, excuse me. I need to catch up. Yeah, but so that puts them both at 3-1, Jaguars and 49ers. Where we at with it? Rams over Colts. Now, I expected the Rams to do exactly what they did. Great games. Puka Nacua, I think he had 170 fucking yards. Yeah, 13 catches, 170. One thing Stafford gonna do with his number one receiver is he's going to feed that man. He's going to feed him. Kyron Williams, 13 carries for 77 yards. Jonathan Taylor, 17 carries for 76 yards. Adonai Mitchell, 3 catches for 96 yards. Daniel Jones had an okay, well, outside of the 2 picks, the numbers look okay. He was 24-33, 262, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Matthew Stafford, hell of a day for him, 29-41, 375, and 3 touchdowns. Yes, Stafford was in rare form. If y'all watch the channel, y'all know I'm still a big fan of Stafford's game. To me, he is still top 5 in the league. I don't be caring about these. They give so much credit to mobile quarterbacks and dismiss some of their inaccuracies and inability to stand in the pocket, throw through tight windows, etc. But just as pure passers, Matthew Stafford isn't going to be beat by too many names in the league at all. And at this point, you have to put him and Jared Goff in the top 5 as quarterbacks in this league. Different skill sets, but if you get them protected, they're the most dangerous in the league to me. Now, you put Patrick Mahomes in there, and I'm not doing the whole top 5 debate. I'm just saying, protected. You see what Jared Goff has done since he came to Detroit. His numbers statistically are outlandish, and it's crazy that he doesn't get talked about more. But it is what it is. Bears get the victory over the Raiders, 25-24. It took a game-winning blocked field goal to secure that victory for them. Shout out to Ben Johnson for trying to stubble bomb, fumble gate, whatever the hell you want to call that play, and it looked like trash. Honestly, Ben Johnson, I would have kept that one in the tuck for a few more weeks. Let your offense get adjusted and run regularly for a few more weeks before I would have broke that out. That is now a couple weeks in a row where Ben Johnson has done some type of trick play. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I don't think they brought you there as a head coach just for your trick play ability. I don't think you need to put one into the game plan every week. We certainly didn't have one in the game plan every week. But let me take that back. We probably did. We just didn't call it every week. So I would go back to just the basics. It didn't hurt you, but it just looked funny, especially from us Lions fans, that y'all tried and failed. Ravens versus Chiefs. I got this one wrong as well. Let me see. I called the Bears game. I called the Rams game. Called the Patriots game. I took the Buccaneers in that Eagles game, so I was wrong there. I felt like I was skipping over some of my calls. Right everywhere else. I took the Ravens in this one. Ravens versus Chiefs. Now, I thought they was going to have a bounce back game after getting beat at home by us. I won't say dominated. I think that's a little bit much given how close the game was up until the fourth quarter. And it started out well enough for the Ravens, and they were holding the Chiefs to just field goals to start the game. But that Ravens offensive line is pretty terrible. I will also note that it looks like Lamar Jackson really has lost a step. He's been getting caught from behind a lot this season, and that's not what you're accustomed to. And then the fumble he had where his own offensive lineman just kind of cuts him off to go and lay the block down and hits his arm, knock the ball out. That's just some goofy shit that y'all just can't have as an offense. That looks crazy. But the Ravens defense, I thought they did their job well enough. Chiefs had some of their receivers back, etc. You're not going to, like, when the Chiefs are clicking, you're not going to stop that offense altogether. They're going to score some point. But I thought the defense did well. Held them to field goals in a couple, situations that kind of kept the Ravens in this game for for a good bit and secured their lead early in the game. It's just that Ravens offensive line just played so bad. There was nothing you could do. The interception by the linebacker for the Chiefs on a pass to Mark Andrews, that was just a hell of a play. He pretty much turned around, one hand snagged that one. There's nothing you can do about that. He threw it up to his tight end, who made a bunch of plays on us last week in contested fashion. It just didn't make it happen that time. And then the last game, before I brush through that, I think the Ravens will be fine. I don't know if there's any answers to their offensive line woes. Like, you got Nnamdi Madubuike coming back to get some more interior pass rush and stop the run, et cetera, for the defense. But I don't know what the answer is for that offense. I also think y'all should give Justice Hill some more touches. He looked good with the few opportunities that he had yesterday. Derrick Henry, we know he is a tank weapon, but I don't know. It's not my team. I just think Justice Hill deserves more opportunities from the few flashes we've seen. Even going back to our game against the Lions when it was 3rd and 26 and y'all had no business converting. You hit him over the middle. You had Brian Branch and I think Jack Campbell and Amik Robinson in there making contact. Now, Amik only tried to punch the ball out. He didn't actually try to tackle him. But Brian Branch laid some wood on him. He bounced off of that and actually converted that 3rd and 26, which allowed y'all to score your final touchdown of that game, continue on that drive. So you see a player playing like that, I think he had y'all last final touchdown on a great run in this game against the Chiefs. A big run, broke it open. So to me, a player play like that, even in garbage time minutes in both games, he deserves more opportunities when the game is still in contest. All right, Packers Cowboys. I took the Packers to win this and to cover the spread. They did not. This game ended in a tie, 40-40 in overtime. It was some bad clock management by the Packers in this one. I don't really know what was going on there. They almost lost the game at the end by taking too long to get that pass off. That's crazy to me. You just can't have that. Look at some of these stats for this one. Jordan Love, 31-43, 337 yards, 3 touchdowns. You know, I hate that they don't show fumbles in this overview because he got stripped by James Houston. You know, shout out to James Houston, former Lions player. He had a great season for us, but stuff just wasn't working out to, I guess, with the coaching staff or his playing time or whatever was going on. I don't know. But he is a gadget player. He's only really good for pass rushing, I guess, kind of like Micah Parsons is. So I guess the Cowboys, like, we can get rid of Micah Parsons and get this young man an opportunity to just pass rush on 3rd down. Dak Prescott was 31-40, 319 yards, 3 touchdowns. So pretty even there from the quarterback aspect. Michael Parsons did get a sack, but it took him to get that in overtime. I thought he would get that in regulation. Josh Jacobs, 22 carries, 86 yards, 2 touchdowns. Javonte Williams, 20 carries, 85 yards, 1 touchdown. But Green Bay Packers, your leading receiver in yardage, at least, was Josh Jacobs, as opposed to, for the Cowboys, it was 8 receptions for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns to George Pickens. This is one thing I absolutely hate about the Green Bay Packers team. Not that I like y'all to begin with, but just from a fantasy standpoint and a betting standpoint, I don't know who the fuck getting off on a week-to-week basis in your receiving game. Like, it is the worst receiving, well, them and Philadelphia Eagles. Y'all are the 2 worst teams to predict pass or receiving props. Like, I stay away from y'all for sure. And like, I've never done an AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. Like, I stay away. those are two teams that you just can't trust. Half the time, it's going to be Tucker Kraft leading the way for the Green Bay Packers, not one of your receivers. Uh, you have a receiver one week go off for 130 yards, and the next week you have 13. Like I can't rely on that. But I think this is it's not a good look for the Green Bay Packers to play this game this way. The way it was managed, some of the run calls late in the game instead of passing, which milked the clock, was at one point that y'all had 3 timeouts and was letting the clock continue to run instead of burning the timeout. You rush into it. Like, some of that stuff made zero sense to me. So I think Matt LaFleur needs to be held to account in that regard. And it's good to see that y'all came back down to earth after the first 2 weeks, because y'all was feeling yourselves a little bit much in the first 2 weeks of the season, which is a little bit crazy to me, because I don't think anybody ever won a Super Bowl by beating the brakes off their week 1 opponent, which was us. Y'all did a number on us, but a lot of that was us, not y'all. Our offensive line was miscommunicating. They running 2 different plays, and it made y'all look better than you actually were. So, that part just is what it is. We got that handled. So we'll see how y'all play moving forward. And that was the Sunday night game. We got 2 games tonight: Jets, Dolphins, Bengals, Broncos. The Jets Dolphins game to me is kind of hard to call. Both teams, neither one is playing that well. I said yesterday when I was making my picks that if Justin Fields plays, I want to take the Jets, but I would not be surprised if the Dolphins manage to pull this one out against a lesser opponent. And the only game I would bother to watch tonight or really keep tabs on will be the Bengals Broncos game. And not really, because the Bengals, I don't expect anything from them. I expect the Broncos to get this victory. If they don't, just take it as early season hiccups again, that you just can't call these games sometimes. But that's all I got for y'all. I'm going to go ahead and end this. This one a whole lot longer than I thought it would. But tap in with us tomorrow. Just Win, baby. Me and JH. We'll be going into a deep dive into the Lions game. My thoughts on it, his thoughts on it, outside of what I shared today. And how the season looked. First quarter of the season, we are now 3-1 after a rough start. Now it's on to the second quarter of the season. I feel like each quarter of the season, you want to go 3-1. And yes, I know there's technically 17 games, so it's not an even split 4 games apiece like it used to. But I still find it easier to look at this season in quarters. But outside of that, man, we out of here. Much love to y'all. Like, subscribe, share, do y'all thing. Still trying to grow the channel some more. But yeah, continue to tap in with us. We out.